Hello, this is Jo, and welcome to another astrology podcast video. Thank you so much for joining me here for today's discussion on the potent full moon in Virgo, which is also a total lunar eclipse. Now, this is occurring today, Friday, the 14th of March at 23 degrees 56 minutes, so nearly 24 degrees of Virgo. This is the first eclipse of eclipse season this year. We have the new moon solar eclipse in Aries at the end of the month, the day before Neptune enters Aries. So that will be another big time. This is a big time. We have it all going on. You could feel like you have it all going on. There could be a sense here of things just occurring, coming to a head or a conclusion or climax, whether you feel prepared or not. So this is the full moon eclipse occurring before the new moon eclipse. So it's like things may be coming to a head in terms of what has been unfolding for you to become fully unpacked, ready for inspection, introspection, shifts and change. All of this happening before you've even maybe set a plan, idea, intention in place for whatever this is for you, because there's always a new moon before a full moon. That's the natural order. So with these eclipses occurring in the order of the full moon before the new moon eclipse, so the other way around, things may feel like they're starting already in the middle, not starting at the start, as in this is already happening even though I haven't even decided for it to happen yet. Time will change. Time will change or speed up even more. And the progression of things unfolding in your life will change in nature, that progression itself. Now, the prior lunation that we had, that new moon in Pisces back on the 28th of February, that was an initiation period for setting the tone, preparing the stage for what you want to step into next. And it was a quieter time. Now, at this full moon, we have the apex of this unfolding tale with even more potently high energies than usual at any full moon, even at any full moon lunar eclipse. And I will dig into those particulars in a moment. It's just important to remember that we have had one eclipse already on this Virgo Pisces axis. So this was before the lunar nodes shifted into Virgo and Pisces at the beginning of the year. The eclipses always fall in the signs that the nodal axis is occupying, because it's the ecliptic, that is to say the path of the sun, that is interacting with the path of the moon and the moon's orbit, which is what the nodes are representative of. And it's this interaction of the sun and moon forming shadows upon one another that give us these eclipses. It's all a bit technical. That's all I'll say about that at the moment. There is some overlap when the nodes come to the end of their journey through a sign. So in Virgo season last year, on the 18th of September, 2024, I know it seems so long ago, we had that first Pisces lunar eclipse of this cycle. It was a partial lunar eclipse. It was at 25 degrees of Pisces. So whatever was going on for you at that time may have echoes here during this eclipse season as well, around the 18th of September last year. So whatever you may have been dreaming of or powerfully feeling, sensing, intuiting back then may now have some purchase in reality, because now we're working with Virgo, which is an earth sign, materialism, real life, the 3D world we live in. Before I go into those particulars, I will touch on, as I always do, what a full moon actually means. So it is the center and apex of the lunar cycle when, after growing in brightness since the new moon 2 weeks ago, the light of the moon reaches its fullest at the perfect angle for that entire Earth-facing surface of the moon to reflect the beams of the sun. It then cycles away again to reduce in light into the new moon 2 weeks later. So that's why you always hear that the full moon is a time of culmination or release. It's heightened senses, heightened energy, heightened emotions, fullest potential. Now, with the lunar eclipse occurring at this full moon, it just means that the shadow of the earth that is cast by the sun is fully encompassing the moon, throwing the moon into shadow for a short period of time, aka the moon is eclipsed by the shadow of the earth. This is a slight paradox here. between things being illuminated, revelations, things coming to light with the energy of the full moon, and working through the shadow, the dark, unconscious, hidden places of the self and others, of a situation, etc. Now, I don't think that any other astrologers say this, but for me, there is a very new moon-ish flavor sometimes to a lunar eclipse, just because at the new moon, the moon is fully dark as well. And there's more of that subconscious, unconscious shadow work that is part of the energies here. So whatever is coming to the surface, whatever is illuminated, whatever is coming to a head will most likely be working with parts of your subconscious that are required to be examined, worked through, especially because of the sun and a massive lineup of planets in Pisces there, which of course as well represents the psyche, psychic baggage, the subconscious dreams, the accumulation of everything you've ever been through. So this is a clear out here, but I'll get more to that in a moment. So I'll just add to this full moon description about eclipses. What an eclipse does basically is it just intensifies the energy of the lunation. So it's like a full moon, but amped up to 50 out of 10. So this full moon, which by the way is already intense because of the nodal involvement and the outer planet interaction, this full moon is amplified and intensified because of that eclipse. So it is the energy of these Virgo attributes, because it's a Virgo full moon, the Virgo parts of your life, the Virgo house in your natal chart, any Virgo planets in your chart. This is all being thrown into prominence in a way that can be potentially unsettling, but more likely it's in a way that thrusts something into view, consciousness to be brought to a head, brought to the table. And it's forceful. It's a forceful lunation, as every eclipse is. So do take care if you are going out under this eclipse as well. There are astrologers who advise not to go outside during an eclipse. Take that as you may. Just beware, if you are going out for a Friday night, there could be some crazies out there. I'll just leave it at that. So it also is a forceful time at this eclipse to use the power of the full moon. So because this is Virgo as well, as I said, an earth sign about your material reality, you're likely to see practical things in your daily life, even work especially, express in these energies of release, culmination, emotionality, even overwhelm. Now, this is a few days before and after this eclipse. The energy is kind of residual. Technically speaking, it's actually, don't get scared, it's actually a 6-month period between one set of eclipses and another that you work through. On a smaller scale, though, it's more of a month, 2-week to a month period between one set of eclipses. So this full moon eclipse to the new moon eclipse in 2 weeks. So it's a lingering energy. It's a period of time that tends to be more powerful, more potent in energy, especially in terms of shifts and changes. Now, I have certainly witnessed this in others already from all walks of life and in any situations in terms of these energies of release, culmination, and overwhelm just expressing in the everyday. So your work, as I said before, I really feel is likely to be highlighted here. I'm just getting that I need to talk about that, but I will get to that in a moment. Before I dive into the particulars, the two main themes of the Virgo Pisces axis are health and divinity. Health as in, yes, the physical body, of course, because Virgo is an earth sign and your body is your sacred temple with Virgo, but also emotional and mental health, affecting and leading into spiritual and energetic health in your energetic fields, whatever that means for you. This is also the divine in the details, the divine in daily life, you as a divine being in this material world. And you can tune into this on this axis via the imagination, the subconscious, the liminal parts of life and psyche. This is about psychic abilities, creativity and art, spirituality, all of that good stuff, whatever that means for you. So these are the themes likely to be in play at this full moon lunar eclipse. Now, if we just go to have a look at the chart here, I've circled the full moon on the right-hand side in green if you'd like to have a look. Now, as you can see, or if you're not looking, I'm saying it now anyway, so you don't have to look at your screen. As you can see or not, we have heavy occupation in the final decan of Pisces. We've got Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node all in opposition to this full moon by itself there, as well as the Sun in Pisces, of course, opposing the moon, as it always does at a full moon. So this is kind of epitomizing the insane amount of Pisces energy we've been having, and it could be highlighting, it's a full moon, for you, what has been a trial, what has been confusing or toxic or tangled, where you've been anxious, overloaded, overwhelmed, inundated. Just because this is an opposition, it's a more difficult aspect. The Pisces energy actually outweighs the Virgo here. Even though it's a Virgo full moon, Pisces is still the predominant energy here. But this is still a full moon here in Virgo, which is powerful. And it's an eclipse, which of course packs a punch. And if this is working personally with you, if it's contacting any of your natal birth planets or points, this is a time of great change. And collectively, we're already seeing this, and every individual is experiencing this at a different level, in different ways. And here at this point in the lineup of grand shifts occurring this year, at this point, you are looking at Virgo, and then how this Pisces opposition is illuminating those Virgo things that are being brought to the forefront for you. So the full moon in Virgo is conjunct the South Node. So this is not only a culmination or release, as every full moon is, it could very well be a full purge, detox, just the mentality of a clear everything out, because the South Node represents what is exiting, what is leaving, what must be let go for you to progress, for your well-being. Now, just a little bit on Virgo here. I need to do this for a second just because Virgo is one of the most misinterpreted signs of the zodiac, and therefore I really do like talking about it. There's been so much limelight, especially right now, on the Pisces energy, that this South Node in Virgo can be a bit overlooked. Now, it's important to focus on both sides of this axis because together they form the full picture, they form the full story. Virgo has been given from antiquity the symbol of the maiden or the virgin, remembering that the social connotations of maidenhood and virginity equated to purity and mundane domestic daily tasks back when Western astrology was formulated by privileged men. It is reductive, bordering on inaccurate, perhaps purposefully so, to allocate those stereotyped forms of the feminine to this sign. It's also powerful to remember that the position of the stars of Virgo, which remember don't correlate to the earthly zodiac season of Virgo, the stars of Virgo are those of a goddess, a priestess, which of course has very different connotations. Now, I wonder why this goddess was demoted to the maiden. There's a whole sidetrack here of how the age of Pisces, which we're at the tail end of, idealized forms of divinity and sacrifice of the masculine, God, Jesus, Christianity, what have you, and also demonized the opposing energies corresponding to the opposing sign of Virgo, woman, daily routine, the physical body itself. There's a reason Virgo has been encapsulated by the only form of woman that the patriarchy and society deemed acceptable, one contained, restricted, and untouched by the world, not empowered, but in the eyes of society, quote unquote, pure. Now, that isn't to say that purity doesn't play a part in this astrological axis or that the maiden phase of anything isn't important, of course, but this is another story for another time. I just want to say that the symbol that fits most accurately in my experience with Virgo is that of the priestess, because if Pisces is the divine, the cosmos, unity, consciousness, bliss, heaven, imagination, etc., Then Virgo on the other side of that is the material interpretation, integration, distillation, and also daily service to that. So this is the embodiment of the divine through health, ritual, sacred craft, service, natural order, which is different from perfection. Now, Virgo, in actual fact, usually lacks that idealism of Pisces to see any basis of reality in the term perfection. There's a very big, I want to say, stigma that Virgoan people are extreme perfectionists. Now, I can't remember which astrologer it was. I think it was Liz Green who said that Virgo is actually too practical to be a perfectionist because what is perfection anyway? Does it even exist? Virgo sees function instead. It's an earth sign. It's practical. It's usually the fire signs and especially also Libra and Pisces that can have issues with perfectionism just because of the whole scope of their idealism and wanting to live in a perfect world. But I digress again. Sorry. What Virgo can have issues with is criticism and control from an imbalance of that Virgo-Pisces axis. And I'm talking about all of this because we have the North Node and South Node on this axis, and these eclipses are working with that axis as well. So it's important to understand the symbology behind this, to understand how it's affecting you. Now, when this axis is imbalanced, you can lose touch with your practicality, pragmatism, sense of natural order with Virgo. When the breadth of the Piscean romanticism, idealism, over-identification with the pure, the clear, the divine takes over. So keep that in mind. It's interesting when a Virgo person is obsessive and controlling, it's usually because they're in the shadow side of Pisces in that axis. Now, this is a South Node eclipse, getting back to the chart, with that South Node in Virgo actually in orb of a conjunction to the lunation. So this full moon as a release functions powerfully as a release of what does not serve those Virgo Piscean things. And on the Virgo side, we have health, physical embodiment, organization, service, your unique skills in your craft, be that your hobby, your passion, what have you, but especially with your work, your job, and how you do your daily life. So any issues in these spheres can also be what is inhibiting your connection to that Pisces North Node and that connection to your energetic divinity, your high love, imagination, spirituality, and with that North Node moving forward in life in wholeness. So this is the things in your daily life of Virgo, what you eat, what your health routines or lack thereof are like, your job, your work. How do you do these things? And how are you potentially hindering that connection to recognizing the sacredness in your daily, everyday life, and especially in yourself as a sacred being on earth? Virgo, by the way, as an earth sign, is strongly connected to the natural rhythms and cycles of the earth, particularly themes of growing, tending, and harvesting. She's been associated with the harvest goddesses. So it's a beautiful opportunity for you to release what may be blocking you from the natural rhythms of your body, the natural rhythms of your unique personal energy field, your energy requirements. And this is the moon, remember, here in Virgo. So she tells us what you need to feel safe, what you need for your well-being, how you feel at home, how you feel a sense of belonging in society, but also belonging to yourself. So what a great opportunity here at this full moon lunar eclipse to exalt in what you need and require to feel healthy, clear, sacred, as well as shedding the things that do not serve this. So I'm going to talk now about that queue of planets in Pisces, which could be why you're feeling overwhelmed and out of touch with yourself. So Pisces is also the intangible, the unseen, the mist or fog, as well as being all those beautiful cosmic divine connectedness things that I've mentioned. With the opposition here of the full moon, it's likely that these obscuring factors could be more in play here just because it's an opposition. So Saturn at 22 degrees of Pisces has the closest orb of opposition here. So believe it or not, this can be helpful. As the ruler of the material world, the real world boundary, Saturn in Pisces has been giving form to these liminal, untouchable, ethereal, dream-like things that seem out of reach, solidifying spirit, whatever that means for you. This can also be a reality check, which can be a good thing, but it can be what is giving you anxiety because Pisces can have difficulty coping with reality, with real life things. It can just be an anxiety-inducing influence anyway. And with Saturn in Pisces opposing the moon, we're being required to work on your emotions, your connection, your health and well-being, even your understanding and management of your own energy. Now, this can bring very fulfilling results in terms of materializing your individual sacredness, whether that's via certain rituals, spiritual practice, ways of connecting to source, your inner self, what have you. It can also feel a bit demanding, trying to reach for that ideal. Remember, I said that Pisces is a very idealistic sign. It could be that the principal is telling you to do your homework, and here your homework is self-care and health by connecting to unconditional love and connecting to your own energy field and energy requirements, your emotional requirements and needs. So it can be a fine line here between feeling pushed too hard into something and actually forgetting why you're doing it, forgetting that it's for your highest good, forgetting to just take it at your own pace as you need it. And this can be very difficult if you have day-to-day things, which is Virgo, that leaves you very little time and or energy to connect to these higher, more spiritual cosmic things, your imagination, etc. This can be a source of frustration here or sadness or lack. Virgo says, remember the little things. This is remembering that every tiny movement, action in your life is part of your life, part of the whole, and it matters. Ritual can be comforting here, and it can be as simple as the ritual of making yourself a cup of tea in the morning, as simple as reading for 20 minutes before bed. It can be your shower or bathroom ritual, walking daily, reading the paper. Does anyone even do that anymore? I don't know. So try and replace the word routine with ritual here and see how it changes your perspective of your daily life and how it changes your attitude towards what you do and how and also why. Enjoying the little things and not taking them for granted, using them to comfort and ground yourself. And this is a very powerful thing with Virgo. And with the opposition from these Pisces planets, this can be how you make sense of things, how you discern through things, how you connect to the bigger picture without being overwhelmed by it, how you connect to your emotions, your sensitivities, your needs without being overwhelmed by them. Breaking things down into small, more easily digestible chunks and breaking things down into ritual that you know nourishes your body, mind, and soul. Now, we also have Neptune on the final degree of the whole zodiac at 29 degrees of Pisces. Now, Neptune, as you've probably heard, has a lot going on this year and next. So Neptune enters Aries on the 31st of March. It will retrograde back over the 0 degrees of Aries and back to this point at 29 degrees of Pisces. So this is honing in on completions. There is the very strong feeling here of just being utterly spent on something. You could feel so done with something in your life, maybe with a large part of living your life. And this can be an exhausting energy because Neptune has been here before and it's here now and it will come here again. This has been a process. Neptune first reached 29 degrees of Pisces in May last year. So you may be feeling like, when the flippin' heck is this going to end? This eclipse is bookended by the following new moon solar eclipse in Aries in 2 weeks on the 29th of March. The day after that, Neptune enters Aries for the first time in 165 years. It can feel like what you've been moving through has been lasting 165 years. This is the new beginning and release that all the astrologers have been banging on about. This is the energy to look towards because it's coming. It's partially already here, even if you can't see it or sense it in reality yet. And it won't be fully over because Neptune does retrograde back to this 29 degrees of Pisces for you to release the dregs of what you need to release to fully connect to your wholeness and divinity before this fresh start from 0 degrees of Aries completely kicks off again. So by grounding in ritual, taking little steps, moving through each detail as it comes, maintaining your health from physical all the way to energetic health, you will connect more freely with what your soul is guiding you towards or what you sense is meant for you next that connects you to high love, union, and energetic clarity on this Virgo Pisces axis. Remembering that the North Node in Pisces is ruled by Neptune because Neptune rules Pisces. So this right now, this is kind of preparing you for a bright, fresh, vibrant, passionate beginning that is authentically aligned to your own identity signature with Aries coming up. And if it's all too much for you now, Virgo says, just keep it simple, keep it minimal, take things step by step, and only spend your health and energy on things that are necessary, and also ground in ritual and embodiment. Even if it is not a conscious knowing, all of that does directly clear your spiritual and energetic frequency. So one of the things influencing this full moon lunar eclipse is a trine from Uranus in Taurus. So this is the only other point in Earth here. So it should be grounding. However, this is Uranus, which is all about change, liberation, breaking free, doing things differently, shaking up, and most of all, awakening. In Taurus, this is how your values have been shaken up. What you value and cherish has been changing or evolving. This is also your sense of self-worth and self-love being shifted and awakened. So this is a beneficial aspect, a trine, to the lunar eclipse here that is promoting the shift, the change, but in a way that further stabilizes you because this is in earth signs. I know that's kind of counterintuitive, but it's like what you change or liberate here is ultimately going to serve your foundations, your groundedness, your values. And with Taurus here, your very abundance, because you will be more awakened and you will feel more free by whatever it is that you're releasing. We also have a trine from Mars in Cancer. They're at 18 degrees, nearly 19 degrees, to the Sun in Pisces and this Pisces lineup. This is also including a trine from asteroid Vesta in Scorpio. So this is an ongoing grand water trine that I've been speaking about over on my Patreon. So this is supportive. The waters are flowing. So what you've been through on this Mars retrograde that you probably don't want to hear about any more of because it's been a big thing. So because Mars has only moved 1 to 2 degrees since stationing direct in February, he's still kind of in that retrograde flavor, even though he's now direct. So what emotional waves you've been diving into, your emotional patterning and memories, history, family, instincts around feeling safe, that raw emotional drive, whatever you've been experiencing lately through that retrograde period, it's now strengthening your emotional capacity here because there's so much water in this chart, in the astrology. So your emotions are the focus, and your emotional will, your healthy emotional will with Mars in Cancer is now able to lead you in a strengthening, supportive way with that strong Mars emotions. You now may have more maturity and a sense of safety with containing and experiencing them healthily. And this is what can be leading you because Mars is a leader, Mars goes. So this is saying that you can trust your instincts, your emotions throughout this journey are valid. Whatever comes up from beneath the surface, trust that and trust your intuition. And when things seem overwhelming, when you feel lost or anxious, just allow for the emotions and tend to them. Care for yourself. This is Cancer. Cancer is the mother. It's very caring. Care for those emotions without falling and drowning in them or being triggered by them, because you're now safe to feel and explore these emotions. Trust yourself with that. And most of all, nurture whatever emotional responses are coming up and nurture yourself through this. Vesta in Scorpio is a reminder to dedicate yourself to your truth, dedicate yourself to your power. Vesta was the goddess that tended to the sacred flame. She's a priestess. So this is tying in beautifully with those strong priestess Virgo energies. So this is honoring with Vesta the depths of your personal psychology, your natural psychological cycles here with Scorpio. And even through intensity, you can remain empowered here with a strong devotion to your own inner flame and a devotion to what you find sacred that does empower you. So allow your personal power to be what supports you through this. And don't lose touch with that. Even if you can't necessarily feel it, remember that your power is always within you, and devotion to it can go a long way or any time, and especially through this time. And this is a little bit of fixed energy here amongst the multitude of mutable points here. So if you anchor yourself to your inner flame, your inner power, this can be as what is anchoring and protecting you through this. Mars in Cancer is also emotional protection as well. So doing what you need to feel safe will keep these emotional senses held and fortified. Now, one last thing before I go to the tarot is something that does link back to that Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces again. We have Mercury. Mercury in Aries at 9 degrees is now stationary. He will go retrograde tomorrow, as in the day after this eclipse. Now, this is significant because Mercury is the ruler of Virgo and therefore this full moon. There's a lovely cosmic choreography here. Now, this eclipse period feels quite tied into this Mercury retrograde, not only because he's ruling this particular eclipse. But remember when I said that in 2 weeks, we're having that big shift in Aries with that new moon solar eclipse in Aries with Neptune entering Aries at the same time. So Mercury retrograde will re-enter Pisces and conjunct Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces just before Neptune leaves Pisces on that same day, just after this new moon solar eclipse. All of this is happening at once. Mercury could have touched Neptune on any other day, but no, he does it on the day just before Neptune leaves Pisces. And remember, it's this Neptune journey that is tying into this eclipse season very strongly with what must be dissolved in order to start anew, because Neptune is not only interacting with this lunation, but it's also the ruler of the North Node, which is, remember, what gives us the eclipses. So with Mercury standing still here, the mind may be still, frozen in place, waiting. Now in Aries, this is a strong mind, an active mind, fast thought. So it's not really a comfortable energy to have the mind stilled here. There could be some frustration around a lack of movement, but I feel like this could be an intake of breath, a pause in thought. It could be creating the energetic space for something to pass or unfold. This could even almost be a detachment of the mind, which is not characteristic of Aries because Aries is very subjective. It's almost like an emptying of the conscious ego mind here because it's Aries. Now, when a planet stations, the degree of that station is an extra potent degree, as well as that planet and the planet's influence in that sign. So with Aries here, it's potency, passion, and action. So this shedding, releasing, culmination, high energy at the full moon, it may be clearing the space for what you can now, or what you are now looking to authentically identify with as being truly you, and opening the mind, the healthy mind, to what you know you want to passionately pursue. No, it will not take off straight away. This is a process with the eclipses, with Neptune's journey, and especially because this is Mercury's retrograde period. But this full moon could very well enable that illumination that sparks what you will journey forward towards. And it will be a journey again. It's not going to happen straight away. Sorry, Aries. Aries wants everything yesterday. But because this is a process, the more that you can accept it's a process, the less frustration there will be, the more that you will learn. Mercury, if nothing else, loves to learn. Keep your mind inspired with things that put you in touch with your passions, and don't expect direct momentum or movement of any actions, projects, ideas, etc. Anger and frustration may be expressed or communicated here, especially with the heightened emotions of that full moon lunar eclipse. So be mindful of that. Anything heated, bubbling up can easily spill over with words or actions that may not be reversible. So be mindful of your fiery emotions and thoughts at this time, and be aware also that others are likely to be reactive or sensitive as well. So that's it for the aspects. Now let's turn to the tarot. I'm using again the beautiful Heartwood Tarot by Stephanie Burrows and illustrated by Adam Ohlers. The card I drew is the Ace of Wands, which is the first card in the fire suit. I also felt drawn to pull an animal card for grounding and guidance because Virgo is an earth sign and both Pisces and Virgo rule animals, Pisces wild and Virgo domesticated. So I do work with animal energies a lot, and the wisdom and magic they hold, it's very supportive and nurturing, and it also does give a healthy dose of realism and grounding because that's nature for you. It does what it does naturally and unapologetically. So this deck that I've used is the Green Wheel Oracle by Danielle Barlow, and the card I drew is Toady. I'll get to Toad in a moment. But the Ace of Wands. So the aces in tarot are a beginning point, a seed, a representation of the entire potential of the suit. It's the threshold of all possibilities to come. It's the raw, pure, unfiltered energy of the suit. And in the suit of Wands, this is that of fire, which is creativity, creation, inspiration, passion, drive, will, power, action, adventure, exploration, desire. Basically everything spicy and hot that stimulates and ignites. So this very much speaks to the Aries energy that we have, that I've been discussing, that we have now and is incoming. So actually we already have Venus retrograde in Aries, which Mercury in Aries has just passed back on the 12th of March, and Mercury will be traveling very close to Venus during this retrograde. And these two personal planets, along with the sun, are kind of crossing over this 29-degree Pisces, 0-degree Aries point, making these grander, wider, broader shifts with Neptune and also Saturn later on crossing these points. They're bringing it more home. They're making it more personal. We're feeling these shifts and changes, these endings and beginnings. So it's interesting that we have this fiery energy here that is in this ace. It's as yet unformed or unchanneled. It's the potential. So I think we're really being pointed towards what we desire, where you want your passions to lead you, what you want to start next, who you want to be, the next adventure, the new leaf. And actually, there's leaves falling on this Ace of Wands, just like the leaves of autumn. So it kind of fits well with this full moon, South Node, lunar eclipse release that is necessary for you to open that door. Our mousy friend here is on the door handle, but it hasn't opened the door yet. So it's like you could be at the door, at the threshold of purpose, creation, action, inspiration, the new, whatever. And all you have to do is turn the handle and step into that. And you must shed those old leaves first. So the wands and the element of fire are also about bravery, and it takes real courage to let something go, especially if it means releasing something familiar or long term, and if it means stepping into the unknown as well. Neptune moving into Aries is going to teach us that we can go boldly into the unknown if you trust in yourself and you trust that your purpose or desire is in alignment with who you truly are and therefore for your highest good, and being able to trust in that if nothing else. So even though this is a full moon, which isn't about beginnings, this card is showing us that the beginning is nigh. It's kind of already here. It's just waiting for you to shed that old skin, dissolve with Neptune and Pisces, the old paradigms that do not serve your highest good, working with that nodal axis of soul karmic energetic evolution. I'm just coming to mind. There's a tarot guidebook that I have. It's by Barbara Moore. And she says about the Ace of Wands, enjoy this fully loaded magic wand, compliments of the house. And it's always really stuck to me. So it's like the universe, the cosmos, spirit, deity, soul, higher self, inner self, whichever you prefer, or all of the above, has this ripe, magical, blazing potential here for you that we now have this blessed opportunity to accept and step into during these powerful times. And this is the phase of that time of the stepping out of the old. Choosing to do that is the new beginning. The shadow side of the Ace of Wands is when you can feel a lack of energy, lack of inspiration and passion, and you just don't seem to be able to lift off and get going. In this instance, if you're feeling this, it's that incoming tide of Pisces energy that can make your senses highly tuned, make your emotions very porous and absorbable. There could be a weightiness or even an inundated feeling. And that's normal because it takes energy to shift. It takes energy to shed. And there are very intense energies around, and you could be feeling that, and you could be feeling flat. So that self-care, health-centric, grounded Virgoan approach that I spoke about is really what can nourish you here, and physically and by extension, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, to get you through these times. And that potential with the Ace of Wands, it will always be there within you, ready for you to channel it through that magic wand once that energetic space is made for it by that dissolving and releasing and shedding. Now with toady here, straight off the bat, the immediate connotation of toad in Australia is very negative due to the widespread invasion of the cane toad introduced to Australia in the past to help eradicate certain insects on sugarcane crops. It didn't work, and now we have an infestation that is tipping the balance of our ecosystem. So just remember, cane toad is one species of toad out of countless species. So this card does not depict that certain toad. So if you're Australian, please put that prejudice to the side for this next part. After all, it's not the toad's fault for living how they're designed to live. It's not their fault that they were introduced to an ecosystem that can't cope with them. Rather, it's more the fault of the humans who put them there. Anyway, so the heading in the guidebook for this card is actually make things right. It's about justice and balance and the reclamation of power of liminal people. So people on the fringes, things that have been neglected or forgotten. And this is very Piscean. So toads are amphibians. They straddle two worlds, land and water. So symbolically, they are grounded, Virgo, and also in touch with sensitivity and liminality, Pisces. Now, our cane toads here in Australia are venomous, toxic, and the symbology of poison is always having the power to both heal and harm, even medicine. So it's life and death. There's that mutable sign duality that I've spoken about before, really brought home here in the symbol of the toad. The toad in this instance, it does speak of cleansing, clearing, aligning in balance. And this can be by the reclamation of those fringe, suppressed parts of you that have been pushed to the liminal spaces of your psyche, your subconscious, your self-sabotaging ways of living that come from these subconscious realms, that this full moon may be illuminating and also giving you the opportunity to dissolve with love. Toad has been much maligned through history, not just by Australians in recent times. Toads have been seen as ugly, undesirable, evil, witches' companions, kind of feeding in there to the misrepresentation of the feminine throughout history that I spoke about in my exploration of Virgo at the beginning of this podcast. So that ties into that as well. So what have you been maligning, suppressing in yourself that has become toxic? How can you cleanse this? And with these Pisces energies, it's with unconditional love and acceptance, which does sound oversaid. And it is much, much easier said than done, especially when directing it at self. With Mercury in Aries, this is your self, Aries, stories, Mercury. How do you communicate with yourself? What stories do you tell yourself and about yourself? This is what potentially must be released or at least rewritten. And then Uranus and Taurus is just speaking up there about radical self-love, radical Uranus. Self-love and self-worth is Taurus. Release the illusions, Pisces, that you've placed around yourself and ground that authentic sense of self in reality. Bring it into sacredness and tend to it, says Virgo. Accept yourself, says Toad. Do justice to yourself. This will help you release. It will help you shift gears. It may even help to yank you out of the liminal space of your life that you may have been keeping yourself or you may have felt stuck in. So for me, Toad and Frog are always cleanse, which everything I've spoken about today kind of aligns beautifully with. So you can clean your house, your space. You can cleanse symbolically with a broom or a vacuum, with music, with smoke safely, with candles, even more safely. And you can cleanse your body in water, shower, bath, ocean, if possible. You can cleanse your insides by giving your body what it requires, whether food or fasting, stretching, movement, exercise, rest. And again, these are very powerful energies unfolding. So listen to your body and your mind. Rest and retract as required. I will not stop saying that. So I've been talking for a while. If you've made it this far, thank you very much. Thank you for joining me in this discussion on the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. I hope you have a sacred and magical time. Stay grounded amongst any chaos. Stay centered in self. Stay in touch with your sacred being and tend to it above all else. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye.